can review these details. Okay, next part. This is module number 2. We are going to talk about software-defined data center. Okay, so before that, now is 9:34. Okay, I will repeat this clock. Sorry, the time slot again. So our morning session will from the 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and afternoon session will start from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, that's 2 slots, a.m. and p.m. And today is October 19. a.m. p.m. is lecture, and tomorrow p.m. also lecture. And from October 24th a.m. p.m. this is for group number 1 student to do the lab, and Friday 22nd a.m. p.m. is for group number 2 to do the lab. So this is the first time we try to use this schedule because we have more students. We have 2 groups of the students. So the issue is we only have 15 pods here for the student. So each pod will take 2 students if I multiply them together. Maximum we can do 30 students for this workshop. Now the issue is we have more than 30 students. So that's why we said we will break out to 2 groups. So the old workshop is like this. When I finish, let's say module 2, student will do their lab 1, maybe lab 2. After that, I'm going to do module 3, and student will do lab 3, lab 4, something like that. But this year, I will do the lecture from all the modules, module 1, module 2, module 3. And in between, I will give you a demo about lab 1, maybe lab 2, the brief demo about these labs. So in the lab day, October 21st or 22nd, you will do the lab from lab 1 to whatever lab number you want to do. Okay, so this is a little bit different than the previous workshop. Okay. And also we will have some breaks. Okay, after 1.5 hour, we will have like 10-15 minutes break. Okay. So module number 2 is a software-defined data center. Importance of VM based on many tradition to machine. This is okay. Let's go here. Okay, introduction of the software-defined data center. And reach to this. Okay, let's talk about this. So this is a topology of the physical data center, which is traditional data center. So they said admitting and maintaining the physical data center is time-consuming and often inefficient. So this is all data center. Each of this box is the bottom box is your physical server. Okay, so the bottom box is your physical server, which we said is a physical host. So on top of the physical host, normally you have your operating system. So it can be Windows Server or Ubuntu or Red Hat. So on the top of the OS, you have your application. Like you are going to run HTTP server, or you are going to run the email server or FTP server. Any of the application are built on top. So normally in the old data center, each server will be dedicated for one job. Let's say this is only TFTP. And this is only database. And this will be email. Okay, so in the traditional data center, we have hundreds, thousands of this physical server in the rack. And from the bottom, each one definitely have the power. After the power, the first thing you have is your internet or network. You have all the network cable. And the network cable is going to provide internet service. And plus, they have different storage technology. like NFS. This is for Linux. Local area network. This is your network. iSCSI storage is another storage. FCOE storage. And plus you on the right hand side, you see this one called the fiber channel. And they have another color of the cable right here. And from the from fiber channel, you have this fiber channel storage, which we call the FC storage. This is FC. And first thing you quickly go through here, you see, oh, this is FCOE, and this is FC. So we know this one OE here, right? What is OE here? And let's see PoE.
Ethernet.
Yeah, that's PoE is the power over Ethernet. So normally OE means something over Ethernet. PoE means power over Ethernet. FC means something, this guy on top of the Ethernet. So we will have we will have a more talk about this FCOE here. But the brief idea is, instead I build this big infrastructure for FC storage, I can easily put something on top of Ethernet. Right? We use the same technology, but put on top of the network, Ethernet. That's why the brief name of this which are called the FCOE. So FC storage on top of Ethernet. Okay. So as a server, we understand if we bought one server, we run the application, we need internet. So why we need this kind of the stuff here is because if you run the data center, most case, this box, no hard drive. Okay, when you have your laptop or computer, what you have, CPU, RAM, hard drive. Most of this case, they don't have local hard drive. That means all this operating system and application will be saved somewhere, depending on which technology you are going to use. You are going to put all this data centralized to one storage location. Okay, so that's why we have some fancy name around this picture here. So next one is virtual infrastructure. So what's the difference between this virtual and the physical is virtualization enable you to run more workloads on a single server by consolidating the environment so that your application run on a virtual machine. So on the bottom, this is the same physical server we have. So, but we change the name here. Just instead of we say this is a HP server, we say this is a ESXi host. So ESXi is a software. So when you install ESXi to this server, we say this is ESXi host. In most cases, you can also say this is your physical server. This is your physical infrastructure. Both names are okay. So on top, before we have OS here, right? Before we have OS, Windows, Red Hat. But now we say this is called hypervisor. Okay. So hypervisor is this layer. So what is hypervisor? In the ESXi, in the VMware, we say this is your ESXi software. So ESXi software installed on this layer. Okay, so on top of ESXi, you have this small box. The small box become your virtual machine here. This is your VM, which is called virtual machine. So inside this small box, we have two layers. If this is your VM, you have two layers. The bottom layer is your OS. On top, you have your application. Okay, so in that case, if I have one physical server, I can have, in this case, I have 6 virtual machines. Maybe one running Red Hat, one running Windows, one running Linux, one running macOS, depend on. On top, you can run different applications. So in that case,
OS
it's
అని
become
తెలుసు
very
అంతే.
easy to manage.
OS
First of
అంటే
all,
అదే.
if you try to manage these 6
VM
server,
అని తెలుసు.
you need to log in 6 times. Now you just need to log
ఏం
into
తెలీదు.
this physical box, and you can start immediately manage 6 VM in one location. And on the bottom, you see this is the same. We still have FCOD, SLC, NFS, and FC storage. On the bottom there is same. So if you compare this both, so the VM technology in this topic is only focusing on the server side. Okay, not about this storage. The storage is still the old technology. The only thing is the server side. We will put on the VM technology there. Okay, so this is when we zoom into each of these VM box. So we say this is a virtual machine. And the virtual machine is a software computer that like a physical computer running on the operating system and application. Okay, same as we have here, OS and the application layer. Okay, so operating system, OS, and VMware Tools is it's a kind of the plug-in or small software. When you finish install your operating system like Windows, and you will try to install this VMware Tools on top or inside of this OS. Okay, and virtual resources such as CPU, memory. This is you can configure all the CPU, network, desktop, disk, and even the parallel and serial port, which is old technology. And you may say why we mention the old technology is because in our real world, people still use old technology. Okay, even they are old, people are using them. Okay, I believe they will have a talk about the VMware tools later. So I just say it's important to have it. Okay. A benefit of using virtual machine. For the physical machine is difficult to relocate. Why is because moves require downtime. Downtime means, let's say you have a business, you need to move, let's say, from Toronto to Halifax. Okay, because maybe you pay too much money for the office, so you decide to move to a small city, to Halifax. Okay, so when you move your business, you also move the equipment. So when you physically remove the equipment, what that mean? You need to shut down your server, unplug all the cables, and put your server inside the box and ask FedEx or DHL to ship it from Toronto to Halifax. After that, unpack it, put on the rack, power it, put the cable on, turn it on. So that means we require downtime. Downtime means dependent, right? Can be a few days. If you have a small business, nobody cares. But think about if the big company has this downtime. You know this Facebook has a downtime for 6 hours last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure if you have follow this news or go through the details about this Facebook downtime. It's because someone just pushed one or two BGP updates and caused this issue. It's like a chain reaction. Okay, so we will talk about that later if you're interested about this. But if you follow the tech news, you see downtime is much more impact to the big company because in a few hours the company's stock start dropping the price and the company start losing the money, million dollar. Okay, so this is downtime. And you may say, if we mention the downtime here, how about the virtual machine? Virtual machine has a technology called vMotion. vMotion. What I mean vMotion is if I have a data center 1 built in Toronto, and before I move, I build a second data center, this data center to Halifax, because my business is running on top of the VM. So I can do the vMotion means when this guy is running, I can start say do the vMotion. So they will try to move this VM to Halifax without interrupt the service. So when this vMotion finish, they will say, okay, shifting the load from here to here. Okay, this downtime is less than 1 second. Sometimes it's a millisecond. Okay, so if you compare this physical move and this virtual machine, you will see we just make it very short from days to second. Okay, so it's the first benefit. It's a downtime. Second one is called specific to the physical hardware. And this side we said is the first thing is encapsulate into the file. This one is kind of I said is VM. Is you can move it by shifting them from the network, or you can just put in the one drive, a pen drive or portable hard drive, and you can fly to Halifax, plug this hard drive, and run your VM. But if it's a file, you can just transfer it from network. Okay, second one is specific to the physical hardware, and for the VM, it's called independent of the physical hardware. So you may say, why we care about this? For consumer, we don't care because every time you buy your new laptop, you just want the faster CPU, big memory, faster hard drive, or bigger hard drive. We don't care about this specific to the physical hardware. So you say, why we care that? It's because if you go to some big lab, or if you go to some specific labs, or even the research lab, you will say this guy has let's say this guy has a big equipment for the lab or for the research. Like they spend a lot of money for this equipment, and this equipment is already 10 years old. But you spend 5 million for this equipment, and because it's 10 years old, this guy say this guy only working with Windows XP, and they don't support Windows 10 or whatever. Windows XP laptop, you can usually buy Windows 10 for $1,000, $1,000. But for this $1 million equipment, you cannot upgrade this laptop, right? Because if you upgrade it, this equipment will be useless, become a garbage. So the only option left is you need to keep using this Windows XP. But all the equipment has a lifetime. This old laptop may have some, after years here, this screen maybe get broken, and keyboard maybe start losing function. So what is your option? Option is you go to eBay and find another old laptop with running XP with a specific hardware version, whatever, and has a special interface here, maybe serial port, and put here, replace it because you have the old equipment, which is cost lots of money. A lot of this kind of example require the specific hardware. That means if the old one getting broken, you need to find the same identical old equipment on eBay. So that's why you see a lot of business running on eBay. They're selling old equipment with a huge price tag. Normally this one become a junk. Like $100 you buy the equipment, but you see someone put 10,000, 100,000 for the old equipment because it's business. Some old lab, old equipment. Okay. So that's another benefit. When you switch to VM, the VM is not based on any hardware because it's based on the virtualization. So you can have any virtual machine you like. You can have XP, you can have Windows 32, you can have DOS, okay? You can have Red Hat, Ubuntu, anything you want to try, you can put in the VM. Next one is difficult to manage. because they require the physical maintenance. Yes, because server has a fan. Server need to have a cooling. You need to after a few years shut down to blow the dust from the equipment. Next one is hardware failure cause downtime. Old equipment like that Windows XP laptop, if the hard drive broken, you need to find the old hard drive which maybe with IDE interface, which is old interface hard drive. Nobody manufactures this anymore. So the only thing is you get this from eBay. And because of this, you have more downtime. From the VM side, where they isolate from other virtual machine, so it's much easier to manage this because each one has a box and you just manage them. Isolate from hardware change is because on the bottom, let's say you have a very latest, let's put an example, i9 CPU, and on top, let's say my VM is running XP, but no problem, I can put some virtual CPU here, which support XP. Even I have a latest technology on the bottom, physical layer, I can still use the virtual technology to support all these old technology like DOS here. Okay, hardware has a limitation, so hardware change limitation apply support. One-to-one relationship between application and server. One-to-one relationship between application and server means if you have one server, I have dedicated job for this guy. Let's say FTP. This is FTP server. And if you want to have a database, you need to have another physical server and put database here. So for the VM, I can have one box. I can have TFTP here. I can have database here. I can have HTTP web server here. Okay. So in that case, it's much easier to manage because they're in the same box. Okay. They have this one called hardware change limit application support. It's the same idea, just certain CPU, certain RAM support certain operating system. Okay. The next one is architecture, physical architecture and the virtual architecture. Virtualization is a technology that decoupling physical hardware from a computer operating system and provide solution many of the problem that IT staff facing. So this is basically I mentioned. The physical architecture is you have your CPU, RAM, network card, hard drive, and which we put on top is your operating system. Normally is your, let's say Windows. On top of the Windows server, you may put FTP server here, and this become one of your physical box. When we switch to the virtualization, bottom you have the same layer, physical layer. This vSphere, like I said, is your ESXi. Yes, ESXi software. It's same as Windows operating system, but Windows is big. After you install the fresh Windows, your hard drive, let's say 20 gig already used by this operating system. And when you finish the Windows installation, when you boot up, you see your RAM, 3 gig RAM or 4 gig RAM already took by this Windows. So if you compare with ESXi, this guy only took, when you install, they only took 200 megabit. And when they took the RAM, they only took less than 50 megabit RAM. So it's very tiny size here for the ESXi. That means you have more resource reserved for your VM here. Okay, so when you build your VM, on top you will have your options that I may put some CPU, some RAM, network card, and hard drive from this bottom pool. And on top you can put your Windows and TFTP server on top. this is a physical resource sharing. When you run this VM, the most important concept is you share the resources. That means if I have, let's see if I have more. Okay, okay. Yeah, just this picture just show you share these resources. Like each VM has a CPU, but the CPU resources are all from the physical CPU here. And all the RAM are shared from this physical RAM. First one is about the CPU configuration. So in the physical environment, obviously you have two shared computers in one system. So in the chain, you have multiple laptop. Let's say one laptop. Okay. So check who is talking about it.
అంతా చైనాలోనే ఉంది ఏంటి?
Bigger challenges for ITP storage.
ఇప్పుడు ప్రాక్టికల్ చెప్తే చెప్పు ప్రాక్టికల్ చెప్తే చెప్పు
నేను అదే అనుకున్నా, ప్రాక్టికల్ చెప్తే విన్నామని హ్యాండ్స్ ఆన్ లాగా. థియరీ అంటే
హ్యాండ్స్ ఆన్ అని అన్నాడు, అందుకే రిజిస్టర్ చేస్తాను.
నేను కూడా అదే హ్యాండ్స్
థియరీ
ఆన్.
అయితే
థియరీ అంటే
For
గూగుల్లో
my operating system and application handlers, we need architecture software. So traditionally, storage means if I have four CPU, four CPU, I can this TPU put this wrap and for this firewall, I can okay, two buffers. So if you add buffers, then one buffer at one bottom, that so this is the most most efficient way. You can do that. Our solution is like in your bank you have $1,000. Then you start with, let's say, you can tell your friends, I have $500 in my bank. Same IC. Okay. Then if that has four CPUs, awesome. I'll start from VM7 VM7 with four CPUs. It's not only about CPU, the hard drive, anything you do virtualization, you have to follow that. Is one CPU triggers each laptop, which I can just CPU load is around 2 gigabytes per second. The only thing for us is if you play game, then you go like the CPU might for the data center, the job load is almost I don't know how to say. Even if FTP server load is not completely, that means during the daytime it will be clean. In nighttime it will be light load. And because we cannot identify the storage based on the VM, we always put some safety space for the storage. Example, in the dark zone, like in some environment,
అది సబ్సిడీ ఉంటుంది ఇంకా
okay, over 80%
అసలు
of
రన్నింగ్ లైసెన్స్ అప్లై చేద్దాం
our infrastructure
ఖచ్చితంగా ఉంటుంది.
is
2 days ఏమంటారు మనం చూస్తాం.
it's not say permanent, but okay, sometimes for the
లేదు లింక్ లింక్ కొడుతుంటే రీడైరెక్ట్ అవుతాను
ఏది బ్రో
నార్మల్ లైసెన్స్
ట్యాక్స్ క్లెయిమ్ చేస్తున్నారు బ్రో. ట్యాక్స్ అంటున్నారు, పిఎఫ్ క్లెయిమ్ చేస్తున్నారా?
చేసుకోవాలి ఇంకా
చేసుకుందాం అనుకుంటున్నారా లేకపోతే అలాగే ఉంచుతారా?
చేసుకున్నాం అనుకుంటున్నాం. అది వేస్ట్.
హ్మ్?
ఇంకా మనం అక్కడ చెయ్యం కదా, క్యారీ ఆన్ అవ్వదు.
అవును.
చేసుకోవాలి. అదే ఏదో వాటర్ ఉంటుంది కదా, నేను ఇక్కడ రాసి పెట్టుకున్నాను. స్టాండింగ్ అప్లికేషన్స్ వర్క్ చేస్తున్నా. తెలియదు మీకు?
సరే చూసి
యూత్ అయితే స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది కదా
ఈపీఎఫ్
కన్సిడర్ కూడా చేశారని చెప్తారు.
అవునా? అంటే విత్డ్రా చేస్తున్నారా?
ఏం చెప్తున్నారు బ్రో
ఏమో రషన్
Public cloud infrastructure when they are public, sometimes where they want to place data. Like in Canada, they want to store some kind of cloud software. In private cloud. They do part two. Let's check that part. Just remember, we are talking about this VM use case. Later you see use of the ware, understand and try it. Few mistakes why we like this ware. First thing is you need to manage the device without a threat, and finally some is you need to prioritize the hardware versus the software. So later we will talk about the hardware. Some of the device is accessible and deployed by the software. Why we say that? Fireware is running on platforms like Linux, Mac, Windows. I spent lots of time on 5.5, but in 6, I don't ever need to refresh the controller because now I still know how to use the software. So what's the difference between these? As is mentioned as a feature, some of these features you don't need to, and otherwise the whole hardware replacement chain. The whole bundle may be on the back side, the whole bundle may be on the right side. So most cases, people always say this function doesn't include the whole bundle. But the concept that they like the other way. That means you create rare things, maybe for 6.5 or 7.7, and only on the one side, one for example, let's say one side, divided by 100, because you can run the function. If it's working, you don't touch it. Most of the function on the bundle is working. Let me tell you guys about Intel. One of the biggest company in telecom company using a one-terabyte network device. Using a router, device, bankruptcy on 2009. Today was 12 years from bankruptcy. 12 years passed. It's an old company, very old. That means there's not many hardware on. I don't say surprise, but some companies still manage to pass the telephony switch to income. So I want to know is how many receive this hardware don't touch it after it's patched. If it's working, run it until it's broken, we will try to find the hardware that patched it. Uh, During system log, you can go and check your system log. License the feature. So ESXi, oh, not ESXi, all the VM products need a license, same as your Windows. Okay, so you can download the software, but you need to have a license to use it. So that's why when you do some labs like TCP/IP, sometimes Shell will provide you a special license for your local VMware. Okay, so and the license have different. Okay, license has different feature and has different price. Let me find it. See, VMware license. Hmm. vSphere standard, vSphere contract. So let's find the image. Okay, so use this one. Okay, so this is from the vCenter. This is a vCenter license. They have the essential, foundation, and the standard. Okay, just remember when you have the standard key, they have the most feature available for you. Okay, essential only allows 3 hosts, but when you have standard, your one vCenter can configure 2,000 hosts, means 2,000 physical server. Okay, this is a vCenter key. Another key should be ESXi. Just need this picture. Okay, so this one is for ESXi, which is like the OS layer, which is tiny layer. They have different versions. They have standard, advanced, enterprise. Okay, so the best license for ESXi will be enterprise. They have enterprise plus will be the top one, and the standard will be the featureless license. So why I'm saying that is because you remember if we talk about vCenter, standard license will be the top license. But when we talk about the ESXi, standard license will be the bottom license. So enterprise plus will be the top license. So sometimes people buying the license and confused about the standard, and they bought standard license for ESXi, which maybe not meet the requirement. Okay, so remember standard license for vCenter will be the top one, but for the ESXi will be the bottom one. So when you buy this, make sure you check the feature list. Okay. And for here, if you click the license feature inside the ESXi, they will provide the expired date and what kind of feature they support here. Okay, see this one is Enterprise Plus. When you log in, our key is all Enterprise Plus. Okay, so level 1 is install vSphere client. I'm going to give you a quick demo about this level 1. Okay. Okay, now it's 10:34. Let's have a 10 minutes break. Okay, and come back on 10:45. Okay, let's come back on 10:45 a.m. During the break, if you have anything you want to have a talk, let's just feel free to talk to me. Okay. Yeah, I think someone. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can have your break. Someone talk about this. Build a PC, right? I recommend you check this one. Can you see? So I prefer use NUC if you are a student. Uh, because NUC sometimes you buy the NUCs come with only CPU. You need to add your own RAM and hard drive to it. So because it's so small, you can just put in your luggage and move from one location to another location. That's one thing. Another one is, let's find the image. Yeah, NUC also has a gaming version. So gaming version has this special logo on top. It costs you more, but you can play game if you want to play some game. NUC have the gaming version. Otherwise, uh, I think NUC is the best size for the student because they are quiet and they are so small. Next option will be which this size is a lot bigger than I think you have that in server. Called Titan series. It's a lot bigger. If you get chance to go to the lab tour, please come visit after this afternoon. It's pretty cool. Everything is owned by the user of the data center. Oh shit. I see. See what do we have in Nova Scotia? uh, it's old. This is so old. When you have this yeah, have a new generation. Okay, so not much we have here. If you are in Toronto, if you check KGG, lots of people have this used equipment. Not in Nova Scotia. Let's see, HP. I think we see a GA somewhere. Okay, no, not much. Why I'm saying not buying the server is because they're cheap. Sometimes they're really cheap. They can handle more RAM, but the issue is the noise. They are so loud about the fan noise, so you cannot put in your bedroom and use it. Okay, that's why I said for us, the better one is buy the smaller computer. Can be your gaming computer or can be your desktop. Another funny stuff is if you see, you see portable DC. No, couldn't. Before they have a one guy build up called portable data center. So what's happened? This guy put 5 of these NUC inside one suitcase, and this guy put a management switch, a network card, Wi-Fi, everything, and it's just in a suitcase size, which they said is a uh, portable data center. Oh, sorry, the portable VMware. Let's see, where do you find it? Ah, this guy. Okay, see this guy called, this is called portable data center because this guy has all the ESXi server, management switch, network card, power supply, everything in a Pelican case. Okay, so you can, normally we config from our laptop to the data center. Okay, so this guy called portable data center. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I need to ask how secure these data centers are.
How to secure the data center?
How, yes, how to secure and like what steps should we do to make it?
Okay,
Mm,
that's a good question. I don't have the standard answer for that. And just give me a second.
Uh, can I answer the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Makbul, actually, there are certain security certifications and compliance standards. One of which I would, name it. One of which is PCI DSS.
Hmm.
So PCI DSS is mostly recommended for financial institutions.
Yep.
It is like a 14 points compliance standard to secure the infrastructure. I mean, there are certain things you have to do. You have to ensure that you have logs for
Yep.
a certain period of time, and there are other things. The databases have to be secure. That there need to be encryption and all. So these kind of certifications are there. So PCI DSS is one that is recommended for the financial institutions. Then we have the ISO certification. Okay, again, it's a set of compliance standards. You have to comply to some points. There are certain things that you have to achieve in order to get that compliance standard. And then we have HIPAA. That's for health hospitals and health institutions. So yeah, these are the certifications you have out there. So with those certifications and compliance standards, you can secure your data center. I mean,
Yes.
this is one of the examples.
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Because
that's very informative.
yeah, secure data center from different level. From the beginning, how you build data center from the concrete, the space, is that basement is on top of the floor. They have all the standards, power cable, underground or on top of the ceiling, network cable, and door lock, the swap card, lighting, fire extinguisher, what chemical you use. They all have standard protocol you need to follow from the building the data center until you secure the data center, physical secure and network secure, a lot of secure way. Everything have the standard to go and follow it. Yeah. And like I said, if you follow this news about this Facebook, and we are talking about the data center security. Let's talk about this. Funny thing, it's already it's 10 and 43. Let's talk about someone start talking about the security of the data center. Give you a funny story about this Facebook, down for 6 hours. So what's behind that is one guy push a BGP update. And what causes they actually delayed two update entries from BGP table, and all Facebook's DNS server are missing. They have 4 DNS server. All the 4 DNS server inside that two network are disappeared from the entire global network. After that, all the user like you, like me, everybody start asking our DNS, say where's the Facebook? More requests sent. And inside the Facebook, the management system rely on this DNS. Communication system rely on this DNS. Everything rely on this DNS. So they figure out, no, our BGP router, one of the BGP router, have some issue. So normally, the manager can just go remote log into this server, roll back, not router, it's a server, roll back this update, everything will be back, right? In 2-3 minutes, everything will be back. But the only thing is when you do the remote access, this guy needs DNS. Okay, so there's no way you can go remote access it to do the update. And because of COVID, everybody working from home, and they suddenly need to grab some guy. So they make a small team, and they find this server is in a rural area, data center, far away. So a few of these guys driving the car to that rural area data center, and suddenly they find the issue is they have the door, they swap their card. And swapping system also rely on this DNS. Okay, so the swapping card reader cannot talk to the authentication server, so the door cannot be opened. So what's the final solution? They find the saw, so they cut the door. So they spend another, I don't know, they say 20, 30 minutes, find the saw, cut the door, and go through this door, get inside, and spend another, I don't know, they said spend another, okay, they get in, and they find this server, they roll back this server has a network cable. They roll back this server, and suddenly, because outside, millions of the people try to get the DNS resolution, and the traffic just bring the server down again. So after 20 minutes, this guy realized you need to, they have two servers. The first thing you need to unplug the network cable and roll back or bring this two DNS server back. After that, you can just immediately plug these two cable together and have the load sharing between these two servers. So the entire recovery takes 6 hours. But you know, people say, who's saving this Facebook? Is that saw, which cutting the door. Without that saw, nobody can recover these things, right? So, because sometimes when you design this security, you cannot be perfect. Because this time the issue is for that door, this swapping is also rely on this DNS. Okay, so when they design, they should be design another backup way to open this door. Okay, so like I said, someone put some useful information about this data center security. Yeah, so if you get a chance to talk to someone who has experience build a data center, you may find there are tons of the protocols applied. Another example is if you get a chance to come to our school, we'll come to the bottom room A102. You know, on top we have two lab rooms, A201, A222. And we have new lab room on the bottom is A201. So we built this room last year, 2 years ago. So I working with other constructor build this lab room. So like myself, I know computer, I know network, I can build everything on top, right? But when this guy be professional, this is a room, right? When you start building a classroom, building classroom also has a protocol. A lot of protocol, I never saw this. They said, where's the door? How big is this door? And at the same time, how many people can pass this door? And how many area, how many people you can put in for the fire rule. If you catch fire, how many people or how many times we can let these people get outside. Lots of protocols, you know, because we are not in that area, we don't know. But these guys will say, oh, how big the table? So what's the distance between the table? You know, everything will follow the protocol. It's not say I want to put 5, 10, 20 people in this room. No, you need to follow the protocol there. Yeah, like I said, if you get a chance to talk to someone building a data center, yeah, you will find different layer has different people talking different rules. Okay. Okay. So back to here. Yeah, go ahead.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
Just I want to make it clear for myself.
Okay.
When you were explaining the difference between the physical and the virtual, I saw that in the bottom of the architecture we can see uh, uh, the vSphere. I want to know. Imagine right now we are running the VMware on our Windows operating system.
Yes.
If we want to have completely a virtual one, is the VMware client, is it like an operating system? I mean that can we remove totally the Windows and then install this one, and then on the top of this software install a Windows?
Okay, I got your question there. Okay, good question. Okay.
So,
Oh, okay.
Gajian, can I answer this question if it's
Yeah,
okay?
sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think ESXi is for the bare metal. That means that when you install ESXi, VMware ESXi, that means you don't need any additional operating system. So ESXi is installed on a bare metal machine. That means
Yes.
you don't need Windows or Linux. On
Yes.
the other hand, this vSphere is run on top of Windows. Sir, is that right?
Uh, this vSphere is kind of, you can say vSphere on the bare metal vSphere on Windows. Doesn't matter. Just because when you on bottom, or you go more detail about the vSphere, we have different software called ESXi, Workstation, Fusion,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So ESXi is only for the bare metal, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Okay.
Okay, good. That's a good answer from student. I'm going to draw this again to make sure you understand this. Uh, let's compare both. This is your PC. Okay, this is another PC. So what you have, if you this is PC is your laptop, what do you have here? You have a layer of Windows. Okay, let's make another guy. No, this is not PC. This is a Mac. We cannot forget Mac user here. For Mac user, we have is Mac OS. For Windows, we have Windows. Let's say Windows 10. On top of Windows 10, you have what? You have your web browser, Firefox, Chrome. You have your Word, Excel. Um, you have some software, gaming, whatever. Right? They all called application, Zoom. And when you run your TCP/IP class, what's happening is you have one software which we called VM workstation. This is like the student said, this is your hypervisor layer. But this software we use is now called ESXi, we called workstation. So on top, you can build different VM. Okay. So this is for the Windows user. On top of the Windows 10, you have this. You can run this way. For the Mac user, it's same. You have different applications, Zoom, browser, and you have another layer. This is called Fusion. On top, you have the same VM topology. Okay, so for this one, if this is a server, so for the server, the issue here is if we run this one, we can run VM on top. But what's the issue is, first thing, Windows 10 costs you the money. When you buy your laptop, part of your money is going to Microsoft because Windows 10 needs a licensing fee. Second thing, this guy took a lot of CPU and RAM for nothing. Right? And on top, you add another layer. On top, you add another layer. So it's multiple layers on top. So that means resources left for your VM, especially if you run web browser and Zoom, not much left. So that's why we say we want to have a dedicate all these 99% resources to the VM. So that's why in a barebone PC or server, we just install ESXi, very tiny operating system. And on top, you can have all the VM you like. Okay, so that's a three different way you can just play with it. So as a student, if you have laptop, the first two options will be the best. Just give you some taste about the VM until you have really you need to want to build some firewall or some dedicated service for yourself. Server become a good option here. Okay.
Thank you. I got it.
Okay. Good. Okay. So what's this topic? Overview of ESXi. Okay. Part 3. At the end, you will know DNS routing. Okay. ESXi host. Sign long USB. Okay. Here. Let's say physical and virtual architecture. The ESXi hypervisor provide a virtual layer that abstracts that processor, memory, storage, and network resources. This is same as before. This box is your physical server, and this is your physical devices. Like I said, you install this one called the vSphere hypervisor, which is ESXi. And on top, you can build a VM here. And all the resources are from the bottom of the hardware. So how to manage it? If we are the system administrator, we are here. We can go through web client, and web client can go. Web client is actually just vCenter's browser GUI. We can go through vCenter and go manage it. From our version 6, we can go vSphere client. From client, you can have a direct access to this system. You have another option is you use that software to get access to vCenter, but no, we don't need that part. If we want to use vCenter, we use web client. Okay. Plus, they give you more API here. You can do programming, VCLI when you do the deep troubleshooting. Okay, you can use VCLI here. CIM is called hardware management. We will go CIM there. Okay, configure ESXi host. DCUI, that's short name. Its full name is called Directed Console User Interface. Normally, we said this is a yellow interface because DCUI, no, not much people say DCUI. Most of us say log into the yellow interface because half of this page are yellow. So what you see here is we will have a barebone PC or server, and you install ESXi on top. And this PC has a monitor. And this PC has a keyboard and have the mouse. So if you just finish install the ESXi and from your monitor, what you see, you only see this yellow page. You only see this yellow page. Whatever you see that fancy page, licensing feature, configuration, blah, blah, blah. This is not from your local monitor. This is from, if you have a network switch. And this is from the outside. When you go through the network, you can see license feature, EM, blah, 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 all this virtual machine inside this PC. But if you are from local, you cannot see anything. You only see this yellow page. So what is this yellow page say? You log in. They only give you a few options here. You can set a root password or change the root password. And you can enable and disable lockdown mode. Okay. Lockdown mode means limited manager from the host to the vCenter server. Enable only from the host management to. By default, lockdown mode is disabled. So what is lockdown mode? Lockdown mode is this way. We are here. Normally we have ESXi. If we go directly manage the ESXi, the lockdown mode should be disabled. Means you can have a direct access to your ESXi. So we'll have more ESXi and you have vCenter here. You start doing this way. You go vCenter and use vCenter to manage all this virtual machine or ESXi. But at the same time, it's not, you cannot stop people go directly log into ESXi and changing something. So when you do this, vCenter will auto synchronize with your local ESXi. So that's why you say, I don't want someone just go directly config or manage my ESXi. So in that case, you can enable lockdown mode. Okay, when you enable lockdown mode, all the config, all the manage will get from vCenter, and from vCenter will push to your ESXi. Okay, so this is lockdown mode. But most of the case, lockdown mode should be disabled. Why I'm saying that is, if you have a secure, physical secured equipment room, and nobody can go break inside the room and get access to ESXi. If you don't worry about that, so you don't need to enable the lockdown mode. Okay. From the yellow page, just give me a second. I see a message here. Okay. From yes, from today and tomorrow, doesn't matter which group you come from, you all join this talking session. And from the third day, we have group 1, group 2. So if you're not sure, we can double check it. We just have the break. You want to have a break? Yeah, we can have another break if you want. Okay, just well, let me finish this yellow page part and we have a short break, okay? Okay, so back to here. Yellow page is really nothing we can do much there. You can put a host name, IP address, a DNS server, change the root password, that's all. And you can reboot this ESXi server. And other setting, really you cannot do much from this yellow page. Okay, another feature from the yellow page is you can do factory reset for this ESXi server. So why I'm saying that is if your company decide to dispose of this server, so the job is you need to log into this yellow page and pick up, said I want to do a factory reset. When you do factory reset, all your company's data will be deleted or erased. After that, you can throw it to the recycle company or put on the KG and sell it. Okay, so this part is you remote login by use the vSphere client, and you have all these features available. So that part is talking about DNS and routing. You can point the DNS server and make some routing protocol, not routing protocol, statics route. Okay, and there's some remote access setting. You can have some settings. For example, SSH shell disabled by default, but sometimes we need to have a SSH shell to do deep troubleshooting. So you need to turn it on. It's all by the security settings here. After that is lab number 2. Okay. So this is finished the part number 2. Let's have another break. I believe some students didn't have a break there. Okay, let's come back on 11:15. Okay, so just have a break, 10 minutes. Okay, for someone here, I'm just quickly give you a demo about this how to get access. So I believe all of you know this SSL VPN from department. So we put username student, password is I'm in lab 123. So from our side, or from the user side, we just need to have a Windows remote desktop. So later I will give you the IP address. So for me, I'm going to use this last part. Okay, switch user. Okay, 11:15. Let's come back and keep talking here. So, like I said, you should. I just give you a quick demo about this, how to get access. So first thing you run that the VPN access. After that, we use a Windows remote desktop, and later I will provide you the IP address for your pods. But for me, I use this one. So this is when you log in, and you see this remote desktop here. Okay. So what's happening? I want to give a brief talk about. Let's see if I can put. Build a new page. Okay, the first thing we should understand is what's happening, or when we do the lab, what's happening here. Okay, so we start with here, which is you, me, everybody. So when we try to get access, what we have, we need to have a VPN. Okay, when we have a VPN first running, we have access to this called the fence network, but the IP address is a little bit different. Okay. So first thing when we run VPN, we get access to this fence network. After that, we use remote desktop for Windows, or if you are a Mac user, you can find some application to do this Windows remote desktop. Right. So for me, I log into one of these IP address are different. One of this called the student desktop 01. Okay, so because myself, I will use one pod, so I just log into one. I didn't get VPN username and password. Username is a student, password is me1123. Okay, so don't worry when you have your lab day, I will provide that information again. Don't worry. Okay, so the concept.
Sorry to disturb you. Are these pods available anytime or like just during the labs?
They are not available during the time, but when you finish this workshop, and for example, someone say I need to repeat some of these labs, so I can just turn one pod on for you.
Okay.
And
Yeah. So
yeah, it's kind
it's kind
of
of a dedicated.
yeah. After workshop, they will be shut down. But if someone need it, I can bring some up and just dedicate for the student.
Okay. Cool.
Okay,
Thank you.
welcome. Yeah. So that means you really don't need to finish everything during this workshop. The goal is bring you inside this VM world, and after that, you can just try yourself and enjoy it. Okay. Now back to here. So when you see that black window, that is my student desktop 01. Okay, so when you do the lab, actually it's 2 students per group. So you have 2 students, one log into student 01, one log into student 02 to the lab. So lab 1 is I'm going to install vSphere client. Sorry, vSphere client inside this desktop. And after that, I'm going to get access from here to one of my ESXi host. Okay, so if you have two students, the second student will go through the same network and get access to ESXi02. Okay, so on top, this is called the management interface. So IP address will be same for different groups. Okay, just remember this part, different, which follow another table, and the rest network are the same. Let's see. Not sure if we have enough time to do the lecture and do the lab at the same time. Okay, anyway, you have the lab menu. I think the best way is I'm going to do this during this afternoon break, not the afternoon break. So afternoon when you come back, I just quickly go through what I did from the lab. I'm not going to do the lab now because it's wasting your time. Okay, so I'm going to do the lab later. Okay, let's keep talking here. Okay, we finished module number 2. Let's go module number 3. Okay, module number 3 is creating virtual machines. Nicer to have. Okay, so this is interesting. You can create a virtual machine in several ways. Means you have different options, right? Choosing the correct method can help you save time. Okay, remember this can save you time if you pick up the right way to create a virtual machine. And this also makes the deployment process manageable and scalable. I believe the save time is #1 priority. Okay, so we will go. I will give you some example later. 2 topics: virtual machine concept and create a virtual machine. Okay, concept. Same concept before I said VM. Look, VM is you are looking for okay, someone say password. Don't worry about the VPN password. I'm going to provide you later. Okay. So VM folder, just when you talk about VM, for yours, the concept is you have a VM folder. It's a folder inside you have different files. So they mean they're meaningful, different meanings here. Okay. Configuration, swap bells, blah blah. Let's see. Okay. Actually, you don't need to understand this very well because you don't get a chance to actually troubleshoot from this level. Just one basic thing is I believe they have one called log file. Something log, I forgot. Means if I have one user, is try to use this VM, and you cannot allow another ESXi whatever use the same VM. So when this guy is powered on, this one will be locked until you unlock it, second guy can use it. But sometimes the issue is this VM crash or suddenly you lose the power. If you suddenly lose the power, this system still locks this VM. So sometimes during your TCP/IP class, you will find this. Sometimes you log into your TCP VM, you turn it on, and your VM said, no, you cannot turn it on because someone is using it. And you know it's nobody uses it because it's inside your laptop. Someone use it means this guy is locked. So how to troubleshoot is you go to your TCP/IP VM folder, find this log, and just go delete it. After delete, come back, you can power it on. Okay, so that's just one small feature here. Virtual hardware, same as before, you can just put virtual CPU, RAM, hardware, E-card. Like I said, ID is the old storage interface. Parallel, serial, EMCI controller. This is storage old SATA controller. You can have some USB device, even the floppy controller, SCSI for storage also. Have mouse, keyboard, and CPU, RAM. Okay, all this can be virtualized. If you need them, you can just plug them to your virtual machine. The next one is version. What is virtual hardware version is you see from the ESXi 4, 5, 5.1, 5.5.6. They have different hardware version. Each hardware version support different features. Let's say if we go here, they say up to 128 virtual CPU. If this one is 128, maybe version 9 support 64 virtual CPU. Maybe this one is 32 virtual CPU. Okay, every time you add more numbers, you actually add more features to this called the hardware version. So just treat this hardware version like your Windows version. Every time you have the higher Windows version, you have more feature add to your Windows. Okay, so this one is dedicated for VM. So this is about the latest version 11. Now, if you check version 7, ESXi version 7, the hardware version now is going maybe 13. Okay, but this is 6, this is 11. They will say they support different features. Some of them say we support USB 3.0. Before that, they only support USB 2.0. Okay, so now they say we support 3.0. Support up to 4 TB RAM. Okay, 128 virtual CPU. So during our lab, you will see one of these. And if we go through here, you will say, if I have my chance to build a VM, I will definitely use the latest version because the latest version provides me the most feature here. The answer can be yes or no. Just remember this. Latest version provides you the most feature to your VM. But if you're going to the company, just be careful here. Let's say your company has one data center, second data center. Let's say data center 1 run ESXi 7, and data center run ESXi 5.5. Okay, if in that case, when you're building a VM here, if you use version 11, and this VM cannot move to data center 2 because data center 2 only support version 10. Okay, 5.5. So if I have this environment, what is the highest number I can use? Is version 10. Your version 10 will be available from ESXi 5.5 and later, means 6, 7, 6.7, 6.5 available. Okay, so when you build this VM, make sure you go through the entire picture, make sure you find the lowest version you can use inside your company and use it. Okay. But if you say I just have one of my laptop, if I just run one laptop, I will use the latest version I can use because I don't need to do vMotion and I will enjoy it. Same thing here. If you use version 11 and your friend has an old version, you cannot pass this VM to your friend because your friend say, I don't support version 11. And during the lab, there is one small lab is say we will go build a VM. And during that lab, they said, first thing, please use version 10 to this VM. Okay, so you build a VM, use version 10. And later, another lab is say, can you upgrade from version 10
got it.
to version 11? They have another lab to upgrade the version from 10 to 11. Okay. So like I said, if you build version 10, it's not say you must stay with version 10. You can always upgrade it to version 11 or 12. Okay, anytime you like.
Monday to exam ka count home.
Okay, so 11 provides you all the features here.
Chawad is low, chawad.
Okay, about you can add change config CPU memory resources, improve your virtual machine performance. The maximum number of the virtual CPU that you can assign to the virtual machine is depend on number of the logical CPU on the host license, the type of the installed gas operating system. Okay, let's talk about this.
Okay.
So what does that mean? First thing, we have the big box, big server. Let's say I
chicken
have let's say I bought a very good server.
This
server comes with 1, 2, 3, 4 CPU. One motherboard comes with 4 CPU, and each CPU comes with 16 cores. Okay. So in that case, I have 4 physical CPU. Each physical CPU has 16 cores. So what's the total core I have here?
64.
64 cores. Right. So now let's say I want to build a virtual machine here. For the virtual machine, I can start with. If you say this is only doing, FTP, I'm going to give this guy 1 core. I'm not going to give this guy 64 core just for doing FTP job, right? You can build second VM. You may say, oh, this is remote Windows. I'm gonna give you 4 cores. So it's dependent on number of the logical CPU on the host. So now the question is, if I have a heavy load machine doing research, what is the maximal CPU core I can assign to this VM? 64. No more than that, because the bottom, from the pool, physical pool, I only have the maximum number is 64. But I can build a second VM. I can also give 64 here. That means they share the load. Okay, that means they share the load. If this guy use 5% of the total CPU resources, this guy can use 95%. Or if this guy shut down, this guy own 100% of this CPU pool. Okay, but you cannot over 64 because on the physical pool, the bigger number is 64. Second one is a host license. For the ESXi, different license provide you different features. Maybe your license is not that have that feature, so you will limit it maybe to 32 core. Even you have 64 core on the bottom. So that means if you buy this costly hardware, make sure you buy the right license. Match with your physical configuration. That's a license. Typical of installation gas operating system. Some operating system don't support multi-core. That multi-core. So if you Windows 32 or Windows XP, have the maximum CPU core, they will support it. Okay, so there are some limitation here. So virtual machine running version 6 can have up to 128 CPU. Okay, so if you are super rich, you build one server with 256 CPU. ESXi6 cannot support it. They only can support half of your
University
CPU.
close
Same as memory here. The host physical memory and the virtual machine's capability of
only 3 days.
Let's say
instead
I'm talking about CPU core, I'm talking about the RAM. Now let's say I have 256 GB RAM.
नहीं सुमन खा नहीं हमें ऑर्डर करेंगे
RAM. And remember the maximum I can
man भी 2 जॉल नहीं आ
256.
एक जॉल स्टिक है काल गए से दूसरे जगह लो काम मांगो बचे जाते
This
to
is
an extent
said
इतने जाते हैं
host a physical memory. Now, virtual machines capability of settings means if you remember not a long time ago, let's say Windows, maybe let's say Windows 7 have two versions, right? 32-bit and 64-bit. And before that, almost every operating system is 32-bit. So what's the issue here? The 32-bit version only supports 4 gig RAM. If you give 10 gig RAM to this 32-bit operating system, this guy only can use 4 gig. Okay. So if I say I must have one VM with 32 bits, so even I give this guy 10 GB RAM, this guy can only use 4 GB from that 10 GB. Okay, so this is called the virtual machine's capability setting. So the maximum memory size of virtual machine ESXi is 4 terabyte. Okay, it's 4 terabyte GB. Sorry, 4,000 GB, which is 4 terabyte.
तने कुछ के खाते जो ना तिको चौकट खाना
Virtual disk is same idea. So just say Windows has a VMDK. VMDK ending is your hard drive. It's virtual machine's hard drive. This one called the VMDK. VMDK, that's all the physical data located inside this document. Okay, this part become interesting. Yeah, we talked about over provision before, so now let's have a
So so we have to expect that the VMDK has the largest volume in the file of VM. Yes.
Yes, you're right. Okay. Yeah, let's in that case, let's have a look. I have some local VM here.
उनका दिन क्लास चलता है अगले हम करेंगे हाँ तो
Okay, so this is some virtual machine running here.
Skipping them
This is the size. Okay, see the biggest size. This is a 4 gig. I have multiple 4 gig here. So normally when you run this virtual machine inside the Windows, inside the Windows or Mac, they have two options. Because my Windows is I think 60 gig for the C drive. They say you can run option 1. I chop it to multiple smaller size, like 4 gig size document or the files. So this will increase the performance. If you don't like this way, you can have second option, means keep one big 60 gig file inside there, just one VMDK, which is huge. But this performance will be a little bit lower. So that's why I pick up the first option. I don't use much here, right? If I total 24 gig, because the 8, 9, 10
white cover ఒకటి ఉండాలా దాంట్లో యాక్సిస్ బ్యాంక్ అని ఉంటుంది
So yeah, VMDK it's your real hard drive. Otherwise, this is some
బ్రౌన్ ఫైల్ లో పెట్టినది
anyway, interesting about my virtual machine, right? I say this one is a bank.
ఓకే ఆ కవర్ వైట్ కవర్ లో యాక్సిస్ బ్యాంక్ ఉంటుంది
Why I have a bank here? Interesting topic. So why I'm like this VM topic, not programming or something else, is because it's not about your learning network. It's also about user to make your life easier. Let me check this. You can make your life easier. Why I'm saying that is this is your laptop. Before you know VM. Okay, you do your intro course. Your intro course asks you to write a paper. Write a paper means you do a lot of Google.
దాంట్లో యాక్సిస్ బ్యాంక్
and you open some unknown website which you've never been there,
Jolama.
or it's the first time you find the topic, you open this one. And who knows, some website is crazy, right? They have the virus, they have some malware code, whatever. It's very dangerous. Right after you did a few days research, you may find your laptop become weird. Some pop-up window, some strange advertisement come to your laptop. So that's why now we use VM. If you know the VM, what's happening is I build a dedicated VM, same VM, Windows 10, dedicated for my research. Every time I need to Google something I don't know on the unknown website, I'm not going to use my laptop, physical laptop. I'm going to use the VM inside my laptop. I'm going to do the research, even they install the virus to my Windows. Oh, I download some document. When you download some document, sometimes it comes with virus. But if I have VM, I don't care. I just go collect what I need. After that, I go delete my Windows VM. Right? Next time, I will bring another brand new VM, do the next day research. Good thing is there's no record what I did, and there's no virus in my PC. The second one is usually I have a dedicated VM, also Windows, for your banking job. Right? Because you cannot guarantee you have a clean environment inside your laptop. So better to build a dedicated VM just for banking. Banking, you go that dedicated VM just for banking. You only go back this website, you don't go somewhere else. And you put antivirus software there, keep everything clean, safe. When you finish, you shut it down. No, shut it down, not delete it. Shut it down. So until next time you need it, you bring it up.
Chicken kaima kan joke bhele.
Okay, so now say you need the VM to do TCP/IP class.
Chicken kaima
daily, right? Do your research, Google it. Do something you don't want people know it. Do something you don't want have record on your own laptop. It's all this good way to enjoy it.
Weeks and holiday VMware training chalte. Tani theory aithe.
That's why I like VM.
Recording
I use it every day for my life, so make my life easier.
Yeah.
Okay, back to here. Now we have two interesting picture here about SIG provision and SIM provision. That's two pictures. I hope everybody can understand this concept.
lecturer
if you understand this concept, I think this is the most important concept for the storage. If you understand this, you can say, okay, I know how this storage system runs in the world. Let's have a look. We have two topics, which one called the SIG provision and another one called SIM provision. So under this SIG provision, we have two subtopics. One called eager 0. Eager 0.
नहीं तने बोले नहीं काल बोलेला नहीं परमा बोलेला नहीं
0. Okay.
Yes, security license MB there's an frequent बोले नहीं.
First thing they say, SIG provision use all the defined
दूसरो security जो MB
of the virtual disk.
ते करेंगे
ते
छोड़ रहा था जरा. Just 22 से उसका
create.
Plus long shift से कितना करा जाए.
Data in the cache operating system file system.
The best of the best. So त्यासाठी wait करता ही हो नहीं थे.
So let's say I need to build a brand new VM. And I'm say this is Windows. I will put Windows 10. And at the beginning, you will say I need 2 CPU, 4 GB. So we can change this later. But what is a hard drive?
दोन कामों करेंगे रावज है.
Let's say put 20 GB. Okay, so after 20 GB, normally ask you what is the format you want, SIG provision or SIM provision. If it's SIG provision, you want 0. Let's say first thing I want put SIG. SIG provision means if this is my storage pool,
क्या दूसरों पे अप्लाई करते हैं
and
मो
this
ऑन
one is
करके
100 GB, I will put dedicate 20 GB for
अंजुन
my
40
Windows.
hours करा जाए
Okay, I will
बाहर इनकी सिक्योरिटी
dedicate
से करा
20
जाए
GB for this Windows.
देखा
This
एग्जाम
switch
का
will
जस्ट
cost 6.
असाइनमेंट तो लोनो
After that, you will start install Windows.
संडे नाइट हो जाएंगे फिर पास में
So
जाता हूँ
Windows may
इजीली
take 10 GB,
Hello.
and you
hi,
keep
John.
the rest empty, 10 GB empty.
कहाँ शॉपिंग में
So from the VM side, you say I only use 10 GB.
ते ऑफर्स नए था वेट करो
I have
नवंबर
10
पर
GB empty.
एक 10 days वेट
But from the
करो
storage side, storage will say
अंत
no,
सर
no,
कहाँ नहीं
you are
गेन
not
वेस्ट
using 10 GB. You are using
नवंबर
20
में
GB
होता
from my
है
storage.
फोन भी
Because when you build your VM, you said you need 20 GB for your
बारह
CPU.
का तिको जाने में ना काम है
Okay, so from storage side, they
तिको
will
उसका
dedicate this
मारना
20
है
GB
पुल
for
ओवर
you.
गालिंग में भी
Doesn't matter you use it or
हैंडल
not.
करा से थे
Okay, so that's
दिसंबर अंतुन फुल रहा था
concept
नवंबर
of this
15
SIG
का नवंबर
provision.
20
So you will say, what's the subtopic about eager zero and lazy zero?
ऐकलं ते ये आणि म्हणून अड्रेस भी दिले तो
For
बट
the
ते
eager zero,
त्याचं
every block in
नु
the
होलं ना
eager zero SIG provision disk is
मन का ब्रांच
traced
गया
with
खाने
a zero, and lazy zero they said is filled with a zero when data is written on the
पुलिस
block.
का कुछ क्या कंट्रोल करता
Okay, so if
ये
this
तो
is a
आवाज येते
storage,
ना मैं विंडो पर बसते ना
20 GB, this is from the entire storage. You chop the
ए
20 GB
पुढे सांगतो
for your VM.
साइलेंट ना का
At the beginning, this is all the random data, 1,
तिको
0,
आवाज रहना ये
something like this.
कापड़ में भी है थे
Okay, so eager zero is said if I have start from here and from here, what I'm going to do after I chop this 20 GB from the
ये
storage,
यूज होता कि नहीं
I'm
कि
going
तुझे
to write all zero here.
वीएम वर्स कहाँ के एक थे यानी
Okay, I'm going to write all zero. And writing all zero on the 20
ज़्यादा
GB
थियरी
will
एक थे
take half
मुझे काफी
hour.
अर्थ होना
Okay, it's very slow. Let's say you build
है
another
कि
20 GB VM,
चाइनीज वाला है जन
and you say I'm use the lazy zero 1 0 1 1 0 0 0.
ये तुझे वाला का दे
Lazy
अल्लाह
zero means
अर्थ होने का आज
I
के
only
थे
point. This
बरी
is the
हम छोड़ ले
beginning. This is end. All this data you can rewrite it available for your VM. And doing this only take few seconds because the system only write this is the beginning, this is end, and everything between available for you. The only thing is about the performance. If you do a database, database ask a lot of high performance hard drive storage because they need to write a small data very quickly. So how to write the data for the hard drive?
Can I talk for 5 minutes?
If this is your hard drive,
Actually, I'm having to shift today.
if this is 1011, now you want to write the data is
7 p.m. to 1 a.m.
0,
I just
1,
want
1.
to know like
What's happening is
कौन से
they
ने
will
वर्क
put
करते
this
हैं
one. First thing they will write a 0, and they will keep 0 here. For this guy, they will write a 0 again, keep a 0. And for this guy, they will put 0 and put 1. They will write a 0 and write 1 back. That means if I want to rewrite this bit, I will first thing put this guy as a 0. After that, I will put that actual bit. Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 0. That means the writing speed will be very slow because you write 1 bit. First thing you need to overwrite or kind of this part, put 0 0. After that, you can put 1 1 here, which is slower performance. But if I already do eager 0, everything I know is 0. Now I can just immediately start writing data 1 0 1 1 0 1 1. So the performance will be much better. Okay, so this is called eager 0 and lazy 0. And under what scenario you should use eager 0? That means you need some high performance storage you required, like database. What means that when you need a lazy 0, user like user VM, Windows 10, whatever, you can put a lazy 0. But for the high performance one, you can use a eager 0. So next one, next one called the SIM provision. SIG provision is most close to our old concept. Means, how can I say that? Means if you buy a laptop said I come with 512 GB SSD. That means you as the owner, you own this 512 GB. Even you just put 100 GB as your Windows, the rest 400 is yours. Even you not use it, it's yours. And same as this SIM provision. If this is my VM, this 20 GB is mine. If I don't use it, it's still my VM. That's why from the manager side, if I'm the management, I will see you use 20 GB. Even you put 0 data there, from my side, you use 20 GB. So this is a one business model, which is not as good as this one, which we call the SIM provision. So what is SIM provision said? So SIM provisioning enable virtual machine to use storage space as needed.
Okay.
So virtual machine disk consume only the capacity needed to hold the current files. A virtual machine receives full or locate disk size at all time. You can mix SIG and SIM
ಇಯರ್ಫೋನ್ಸ್ ತೊಂಗೆ ಕೈಸ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಹೋನಾ
full reporting and the alert
ಟೋಟಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್
manage. So
Yeah,
what's
earphones.
here?
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟೋಸ್ ಇಂದ
First thing I give you example. I don't know how many of you guys use the Dropbox
OBS
అంటే నేను అంటుంది పిఎఫ్ అమౌంట్
OneDrive.
టోటల్ అమౌంట్
or any kind of this service.
చూడరా ఫ్రీ చూసేసి
Okay, so the concept
వీడియో
is like
స్ట్రీమర్స్
this.
అందే ఇది వేసి చూసుకుంటారు గేమ్
ఓకే మిగతా ఎంప్లాయీ
If you start a business, let's say you start business kind of this Dropbox
అంటే
business.
అది 15
You start selling your
Sunday.
classmates the storage.
स्क्रीन रिकॉर्ड करेंगे हो जाए विंडो
Let's
रिकॉर्ड
say you build a server.
स्पेसिफिक विंडो
You are here. You start managing this storage server. You start selling your classmate the service. You say, you pay me $1.
అర్జున్కా
I give you 100 GB per month.
ఇంకేమో చూడొద్దు
Per month.
మనమే
అవును పిఎఫ్ అమౌంట్
So if at the first time you sell this storage service to 3 of your classmates,
టీమా బాల్స్ ನಮಗೆ ನೂಡಲ್ಸ್
so
అనేది
what's the
ಇಲ್ಲದು
storage you will put?
చిన్న చిన్న స్లైసెస్ కారణం
The
సన్న
safe answer is
రెసిపీ కాదు
more
తెలంగా
than
ఓచస్
300. Better to put 400.
ఉంది ఐడియా లేదు
500.
లేదు నేను అయితే.
You will say minimum 300. per
Ah,
month.
కమర్స్ కర్లో మేజర్ పార్ట్ అంటే
Yeah.
కాగాల
The
అంటే
business model is
ఇట్లా
say,
మనం
let's say
మీట్
300 GB costs you $300. That means you at the beginning you should put $300.
అంటే ఆల్రెడీ
ఎంతగానే మనకి యాస్ కోలేనే యాస్
You
కావాల్సి
will only recover
ప్యాన్ కి
few dollars from your customer.
ఆధార్ కార్డు బ్యాంక్ ఇవన్నీ లింక్ చేస్తే
So
నేను
that's why I say better
What
to
is
start with
ఉన్నప్పుడు అప్రూవల్ కావాలి కదా మన
100 GB.
ఎంప్లాయర్స్
कोण दूध
approve
आहे
చేస్తే
का?
కనుక-
आम्हीच दूध आहे मग.
సో ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ
आता
చూస్తే
2 ग्राम बी
approve
का
అయ్యింది.
नाही
$100
कमी
start
येतो
business. You may say I gave
1 ग्राम
300
बी
GB off.
पैसे
How can I
एकदा
put
टमाटाने
service
नेक्स्ट
100 GB?
त्याचं शेअरिंग आहे सांग
Just remember, not everybody put really 100 GB
Money
data
inside.
inside their storage, right? If you check your Dropbox,
कोणचे
whatever,
तीनशे लावतात ना का
maybe first guy put
आणि बी
5 GB, this guy put 10
माझंच दुसरं
GB,
आहे
this guy put 15 GB, because they don't trust you. Because
కానీ అక్కడ
not
మనకు
that
తెలుస్తుంది
reliable
clean
service,
data.
they don't want to put lots
नाही तर
of
फोटोज
important
होतात
pictures.
अरे, अरे,
कोण
अरे.
क्लीन करायला
So
नाही
they will start try your service. So maybe the
Monday-
first month,
4-5 दिवस बॉम्बेच करतात
all these 3 guys only put 30 GB.
आणि cockroaches एकदम येतात.
So if I have 100 GB, I can start my business.
Cockroaches.
And from next month, this guy will say, you have good service. I start adding
డైరెక్ట్ నేను ఈపీఎఫ్ నుంచే చూస్తాను
I start adding more storage
సందే వుడెన్ చేసి రాసింది
device. Sorry,
స్టేట్మెంట్
to
అండ్
the
పాస్బుక్
storage.
యూఎస్ అన్ని ట్యాప్ వాటర్
Okay, so now next month they grow to
దాంట్లో అమౌంట్ చూపిస్తుంది
16,
Okay, bye.
right?
దాంట్లో చూపిస్తుంది
इसका फर्स्ट 3 days है
That's still under 100.
पानी के
But this
जैसे भी
moment,
केस
you see this part.
तेन हमें का की
Your
जरा
system will
डिफरेंट
send you
आता
alert. You set a
चलो
threshold
डिफरेंट
line.
बनी
అవునా బట్ అక్కడ
This guy
మనకు
goes
అప్లై చేసుకున్నప్పుడు
through
అడుగుతారు
Same is kaki.
15 G సబ్మిట్ చేయమని
60%. They will send you a warning said, okay, now 3 of this user use 60% of your storage. Maybe it's time to consider add more.
नहीं नहीं हम तो जल्दी ये रहते हैं शावर से
And
Okay,
after a few
naladi
months, you
study
start
review
adding
is
another
not
100 GB.
అదేమి ఉండదా
एक कुछ वॉश बेचना भी तो सेट
You
करेंगे
know the storage market. After the year
అంటే మీది కూడా
Process one be set
ట్రస్ట్
for
the
కాదు
storage price will drop. Maybe after a few months, 100 GB only costs you $50. Okay, so now you add them together, you have 200 GB,
कहाँ से सर
but your cost is only $150.
ఓకే
And now you may
Process
sell to
loaded in the
more
stock.
user and start growing your business.
हाँ लिक्विड అని ఇట్లామో
So this is we call the
कुछ तो
simulation.
वॉश ऐसे ड्राई ऐसे
15 G
कॉमन हमने फाइल का बांधा था ऐसे
Let's go back
$2
to
ऐसे वॉश
this side.
$1.5 ऐसे ड्राई तो $4
Let's see
ऐसे
what really
కన్ను
happened.
ఉందా సార్
మీకు ఎన్ని డేస్
ऐसे एक गाली में भी
This
तिक्कुस
is
हो जाता है
saturation.
ఎన్ని డేస్ తర్వాత పడింది
So
तुम
from the
चुल्लू चाहिए।
manager side, I cannot see how many data they use, right? It's
and
just
use
if this guy
floor
needs
wise
20,
एक रात है
I will give 20 to this guy. If the second VM use
Okay.
simulation,
लुगड़ी तेरे गाल
even I say
लिक्विड
this
रहता
guy
है
say
ना
I need 40 GB.
टाइट जो
ఓకే అయినా ముందైనా కూడా
Because I can
కొంచెం
see it from
పెట్టవాలి
this
కదా,
simulation
already
is this guy only use
हमें नहीं मिटला
20 GB on the bottom, and the third
Mitla
guy
mitla.
here said I need 80 GB, but this guy only use 40 here.
कौन सा खाना दबा
So when we add them
नहीं
together,
नहीं 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 नहीं
the
नहीं
real data
लांडे कार्ड एक रात है
is 20 plus 20
so
plus 40.
तेंदे दैट सेपरेट मिशन खा ले रात है तेंदे किक्को तर भी गालिंग आवाज है तो रूमा से कार्ड
How much
रात है
have already provisioned to outside? Top number.
ते कार्ड ते था
20
वो
plus
बाजू
40
हमको
plus 80.
क्रेडिट कार्ड था हम भी इन्हें तो मनी इन्हें जाते तो
It's same idea like you in your bank you have $100.
అవునా
Nobody can stop you.
కానీ
Say, I have
దానికైతే నేను
$200.
నార్మల్గా చూసాను
एक दस ना काम
చెప్పండి
Same here. If at this moment
వెయిట్ జారో నమ్మ అంత
my
లాండ్రీ
entire
కార్డ్
storage
రాत
is 100 GB.
లాండ్రీ కార్డ్ అని పైకా రాంబే हमें కొంచెం పైగా కి देंगे तो वहां ट्रांसफर कर रूम ऑन
Even I
अरे
provision
तेरे जीरो है
140
मनी के
GB.
वो जान लोड करेंगे वो तिकुस
Because this guy is
लोड भी
only
कार आ
half of the size.
तेरे थाउ तो सो 10 मन
But
लगी थे सो
Allow be
$10
risky because if you
क्रेडिट
give
कार्ड
this guy
पिन
40,
तेनो ఉందా
you cannot stop this guy to fill the data.
పड़ जाता है
అంటే నార్మల్గా ఆన్లైన్ లో చూస్తే
మధ్యలో 10 12
Fill
డేస్
the data, you
వస్తాయి
pick up, right? It's not say
Just
1
15
second this guy will immediately fill
15
the
G
data.
సబ్మిట్ చేయమన్నారు అలాగే అది
So
విత్డ్రా
that's why
అయినాక
you have the
మనం
margin
పెన్షన్ అమౌంట్
system
విత్డ్రా
here
చేసుకోవచ్చు
between
That's about it.
40
అదే మీరు చేశారంట కదా
and keep monitoring your data usage
देखो 2 वीक्स का $4 मन पे आता बेस्ट
and you may put
ప్లాన్స్ ఉన్నాయా ఇంకా
70%.
प्लस आके दूंगे 100 करना है
Okay.
Even
So
plans
when
ఉన్నాయా
the user use all the
Inners भी डाल सकते
capacity of your 70% of your storage, your system will send you a message. That means it's time to go to the market
फर्स्ट तो
to add
वॉशिंग
another
मशीन वॉश करते पहले
hard drive or storage system.
वॉशर एक रहता है टच बाद ड्रायर एक
So we'll add another storage system.
वॉशिंग
You
मशीन
flash
गाल
all line,
में 20 to 30 मिनट्स तक टाइमर ऑन
as
करेंगे
your
थे
system will keep growing
जाते थे
until they
నాకు బాజు తిండి కాల్తాము బాజు తిండి $1.5 के स्वाइप करता हूँ
so this is about the
ते 60
simulation.
मिनट ये थे ड्रायर
And SIM provision is become the most popular provisioning
ప్రాక్టికల్
mode.
ఉంటుంది
Self service.
ప్రాక్టికల్ ఒకరు
If you go different companies,
हो सर ने टाइमर रहता है काम उसका रहता है
most
जस्ट
of
फोन
them
टाइमर
use
तुम
SIM
गेम
provision.
हम तो बाद जस्ट बाद
దాంట్లో థియరీ చెప్తుంది
Yeah, they have the
का
chart. See if you have a
It's not
SIM
just
provision
about-
lazy zero,
ఇది డ్రైవింగ్ లైసెన్స్ అప్లై చేశారు కదా
your creation
बट
time
टेस्ट
will be
करा है
fast.
एक्चुअली
Block allocated will be full pre-allocated.
అదే చూస్తున్నాము చేద్దామని
But now most of
ड्रायर
this
केस
case is SIM provision.
ఇండియాలో ఉంది బ్రో 4 వీలర్ది నాకు
Another one is simulation is
అవసరం
also
नाही.
called some
రియల్
ఇంత
simulation.
ముందు ఉండే
బట్ ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ మరి
వాళ్ళనే చేస్తారు డ్రైవర్
The
బండి
issue
డ్రైవర్
now is
చేస్తారు.
fixed
1 year
by
ఉండాలా 4
we
వీలర్
have yes accept
ఇప్పుడే
box.
కొంచెం యూజ్ అవుతుందా అంటున్నారు
నై, నై,
నాకైతే
కాదు,
1 year
we have
లేదు
decent on
రీసెంట్ గానే వచ్చింది
ఇవి మనీ ఇట్లా
As the
చేస్తారు కావాలి
storage.
చదువు డ్రై కరెక్ట్.
Actually, the storage manufacturer has a dedicated
అదే
CPU
ఎగ్జామ్ అయితే రాదంట
and dedicated
బట్
RAM.
అప్లై మన ఎక్కడైతే డ్రైవింగ్ లైసెన్స్ అప్లై చేస్తామో దానికి ఏమో
Very good.
తగ్గొచ్చు అని జనరల్
ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ప్రాబ్లం కరెక్ట్.
ఎగ్జామ్ రాసే 1 year తర్వాత మీరు టెస్ట్ తీసుకోవాలి కదా
हमसे बाजू रूमान हाई
దానికి
आयरन
మీరు
बॉक्स
లైక్ 9 months ముందు
ఇంటర్వ్యూ తమ్మ తమ్మ
So
పైదే
as a
నార్మల్
student,
ఇస్తుందా స్పేస్.
సరే అనుకోవాలి
virtual disk, they have some preparation.
నేను అనుకుంటున్నాం బ్రో ఈ వీక్ లో కూడా రాదు
So as a student,
అది పీడిఎఫ్ ఉన్నాయి
if you not everybody has SSD.
ఓకే అలా బాక్స్
Most of
ప్రిపరేషన్
them have 500 GB. So what is the option for you? Simulation will be your option.
ఇట్
Why
మెజారిటీస్
is
అంటే
you don't
yes
want to have a VM
Only split
Windows
files.
and took 6 GB from your 500 GB storage and you only use 20 GB inside.
ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీ
Wasting your money there. Okay, so as a student,
$100 వల్ల
inside your laptop, the SIM provision is always the best option.
हम तो रूम में नदन जाने पीना तो
Okay, it's
जरते में एक जना मैरिड
Oh,
ना
clock.
तने पीना
let's let me see.
पीना तस पीना माने तिको पहले
Okay,
पीता
we
होता
will
माना तो
stop
पीने
here. Okay, 2 more slots.
मतलब
Two
दूसरा
more
जना
slide
पीना
and we will stop.
एक जना तर रूमानी सराना
Next one
And
is
बाहर
about
speed
network virtualization.
हाँ, जरा है सब पीता
Network
होता है ना?
virtual machine configuration.
बस हम जो फ्रेंड्स खाले
Network will,
रूमानी तो
will
खाले
provide
भी हो रही
communication between virtual machines. on
बिकॉज़
the
के
same
रूमान
host.
देखने हैं
Means
पाइजे मन भी सेट
if
करना
this is my
But timing हो ना।
ESXi, I have
एक एक जना से पार्ट टाइम
VM1,
रहते हैं ये थे
VM2, so VM1 and VM2 can talk to each other. Okay, and you can also use through that network to manage this
हाँ
ESXi
वो
host.
रूमानो एकदम फ्री है तो जरा
Okay.
वो दिन है
And
जैसे
they also have some
बाहर
vConnect
देखो जाना
service like
थे, हम जरूर
NFS,
मानता
all the storage protocol and the vMotion.
वो रूमान
vMotion
एकदम
is
फ्री रहते
one VM
हैं
from one location.
सेंट्रल बेड रहते हैं एकदम थोड़ी टीवी रहते
All
हैं
these features are based on network.
रूमान जानो का क्या करना ते रूमान संदे मिलो निस्का
So about network adapter,
हम जो फ्रेंड्स हैं सीनियर संदे इंता ईमेल संदे इंता जॉब करते हैं ना काम
so when you configure
Yeah,
virtual
let
machine,
me
you can
see.
add a network adapter and the specific network adapter tab whenever possible, like this. So what I mean here is that when you build a virtual machine, it's the same as you build a physical PC. When you build a physical PC, you pick up your CPU, RAM, motherboard, network card, same as your virtual machine here. When you put your NIC card, you have few options. Right, you can put this E1000,
ये तो खट्टा है
E1000E,
रूमान इसका हाँ
or you can put this VMX Net. You can trace this
ऐकलं
IP
ना
from
फर्स्ट
the
डे
back
इसके
of this NIC card.
ते किस माकुन इंटर
OSR
मेल मिलम थी
IoT.
कुछ माकुन का फिल्म में
So you say
चांस
Why we
नहीं
have
है
option
मार जो
for
नाइट
this?
शिफ्ट रहते हैं ये ने तमस सांच अड़े तो
it's like the real world.
दूसरा त्यासे दूसरा शिफ्ट रहते हैं
If you build a Windows 10, not Windows 10,
टाइम तो होने देखा
7, and you plug a NIC card
अंत इंडिविजुअल पिन भी का मानी ना
to your desktop, like few chance, half chance, your Windows 7 you say, I don't recognize this card. Can you please install driver, special driver from the company? I need to have a driver for this NIC card. Well, for some NIC card, Windows 7 comes with the driver, so you don't need to have a special driver for this NIC card. So that's why VMware said, let's pick up the most popular NIC card in the market, which means all the operating system has a driver built in.
ते इंडिविजुअल पिन में होना तो देखा टाइम तो सेट होना है बट सेट करेंगे प्लान करेंगे भी
We
होते
go
One week
search for
put it
this E1000.
पहले हम इनकम है ना का मजेदार इनकम है ना सो मैं अवॉइड करते हैं एकदम तमरा आते तमरा नहीं है
It's something like this. This is
मतलब
Intel
संदू होला माको
manufactured
संदू सेट होंगे
card, which is something like this. You see Intel logo is there.
Test data.
Okay, because this is the most popular NIC card in the market, physical market. That's why almost all the OS support it. That's why VM said if you don't want to install special driver, you can just plug this E1000 to your virtual machine, which means most of the operating system come with the driver to use it.
उनके जर्सी में टोरंटो भी है जो.
You will say, okay, in that case, in future,
Huh?
I will
First match?
use this E1000 as my NIC card. But there's only one issue here is this E1000. This 1000 means
तुझे हॉटस्टार येते
1
ना.
GB. The speed is 1 GB. You
Ah,
know,
कौन details
most
है?
case,
ये ना mostly.
high performance computing need 10 GB interface. Okay, so that's why we have this VMX Night or 203. This is all 10 GB
ये ना माझे friend try कर ला लेने.
card. But in that case, most of this operating system don't support this VMX Night.
इटे अंके दोन different है तो.
You have my VMX Night 3 here.
Business
Now,
separate,
you say,
hotspot
what is
separate.
that? I don't know it. Can you please install driver for me? And next question will come, where's the driver?
कहाँ enter कराए थे?
The driver is come from
Email address है.
tools. Okay, that's why we said VMware tools is useful. If you install VMware tools to Windows or Ubuntu, this guy comes with this driver,
Password
not for the NIC card, also for the graphical card display, CPU RAM, special port, serial power on. Okay, whatever. So VMware tools come with a driver package, so they will install the driver for you. So after you install the VM tools, the Windows 7 will recognize this
Email address is not
VMX
registered with
card,
us.
and they will have a 10 GB interface.
Yeah, hotstar.ca ना कहाँ.
Okay, so next one is about the virtual, you can have a virtual DVD, virtual USB
तुझे
pen
Facebook पे
drive,
जाना माझे Facebook
virtual
पे.
storage hard drive, blah blah. Okay, next one is counseling. I'm going to give you a demo lab. I just have to know about how to use this console. Okay, so we will stop here. It's 12:06.
Okay.
So let's have a break. So next session will start 1 o'clock. So make sure you switch the meeting number. So afternoon we have another meeting.
Just now.
Okay, so have a good lunch break. So see you this afternoon.
Okay.
हम लोग अंत का मैच देखते हैं.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
अंत का मैच देखते हैं.
Okay.
Class training అది ఒక
अंत का मैच देखते हैं.
ఫోటో కావాలా పాస్బుక్ అదే పిఎఫ్ విత్డ్రాల్కి అది ఫోటో అంటే పాస్బుక్ యాక్సిస్ బ్యాంక్
కాదు ఫేస్బుక్ పాస్వర్డ్ भी తెస్తా.
పిఎఫ్ అమౌంట్
This login method is unavailable in your region. Tikku see. Space sir. So అంత సండే మూవీ రూల్స్ అనేసి देखते हैं
చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నా.
కన్నా మొబైల్ నంబర్ ఈమెయిల్ అడ్రస్ है.
అవునా
ఐకన్
అదే ఇప్పుడు
చూచినాక
ఓకే. హలో
ప్లీజ్ ఎంటర్ వ్యాలిడ్ ఈమెయిల్ అడ్రస్.
అంటే
ప్లీజ్ ఎంటర్ में भी मध्य संद लाइव అయితే इश्यूज కాలేనే कोई मोबाइल
వద్దులే అది
రాత్రి
ఇప్పుడు వద్దులే అది ఒకసారి
సందేశ్ రీజన్
నంబర్
డిటెక్ట్
ఇస్తే మాట్లాడతా ఒకసారి వాళ్ళతో.
मैं डायरेक्ट hotstar.ca से राउट करता.
అదే నంబర్ ఎవరితో ఉంది
आता मीटिंग इन्व्हाइट आहे बे ऐक हां यानं अंतच गोट करलाय कोण त्याने दुसरा वाला आहे म्हणे ऐकलं ना का कागलिजंट वाला हल्लं नाही म्हणे त्यास ते प्रोफेसर असलं हो मीटिंग इन्व्हाइट आलं नाही याने तर ఏ టైం ఫ్రీ అయ్యమని ठावला म्हणा बट मीटिंग इन्व्हाइट तर आलं नाही म्हणा
కాదు వద్దు ఆయన అది ఆ నంబర్ ఎవరితో డాడీ ఇస్తున్నారు కదా నంబర్ వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడితే
हाँ वही कसं आहे మీ
లేకపోతే
కాకర్నే
అది ఆ ఫామ్
క్లాస్
ఫిల్అప్
కాదని
చేయకపోతే 33% కట్ చేస్తారు ఇప్పుడు వచ్చే దాంట్లో నుంచి.
का
అదే ఆ ఫామ్ 15G అని ఒక ఫామ్ ఫిల్అప్ చేయాలా ప్లస్ ఇవన్నీ ఇవ్వాలా బ్యాంక్
छुट्टी म्हणून माझी सुट्टी
ఫోటో
दिली
ఇస్తే కానీ వాళ్ళు మొత్తం అమౌంట్ ఇవ్వరు లేకపోతే 33% కట్ చేస్తారు.
का आलती जेव्हा त्या मग 8:30 वाला ना का मग के हां तेच मी तम्मा जेवला म्हणा ऐकले
లేదు నాకు వెళ్ళదు అనుకుంటా వాట్సాప్ కాల్ వెళ్తుంది నార్మల్ కాల్ వెళ్ళదు. చెప్తే నేను మాట్లాడుతూ వాట్సాప్ కాల్
కావని
ఒకసారి చూపాను అది
देखते
యాక్సిస్ బ్యాంక్
अजून नाही संध्या भावा मॅच आहे नका देख नाही तर नेक्स्ट संडे नंतर स्टार्ट होते नका तर मध्ये एक तास
అది కాదు వైట్ దాంట్లోనే ఇక్కడ ఉంటుంది అది కాదు వైట్ కవర్
का करेंगे इथलं मत जावा असं
కవర్ లోపల యాక్సిస్ బ్యాంక్ అని ఉంటుంది నాకు తెలిసి.
हां ओके बाय बाय बने
అయితే అది బ్రౌన్ దాంట్లో చూద్దాం బ్రౌన్ సైడ్ లో ఉంటుంది. మీటింగ్ అంటే
ఎండ్ అయిపోయింది అవును ఎండ్ అయిపోయింది ఎప్పుడు ఎండ్ అయింది ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ అయింది మళ్ళీ 1కా
చూడు అది కాదు అది క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్ అది క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్ అది కాదు ఇంకోటి ఉంటుంది చూడు నాకు